Welcome to my YouTube tutorial. Today I'm going to teach you how to draft female palazzo pants pattern from scratch. Whether you're a beginner or looking to sharpen your pattern making skills, this step-by-step guide will walk you through the entire process, from taking accurate measurements to creating a flawless pattern for wide leg palazzo pants. So grab your tools and let's get started on creating stylish comfort with a professional touch. The measurement needed are your waist measurement, your hip measurement, your trouser length, your thigh measurement. These are the basic measurement needed. This particular draft is the hips is 48 inches, while the waist is 40 inches. The trouser length, because it's a palazzo, is a high waist palazzo pant. The trouser length is 46 inches long. Then the amount of material, amount of fabrics needed to do this work is about 2 yards. 2 yards of fabric is enough to finish this job. Basically, if you want to draft a palazzo pant, you're going to start from the front pattern. The front pattern is a bit smaller. In my own style of drafting, the front pattern is a bit smaller, just maybe by 1 inch smaller than the back pattern. Then for the back pattern, the crotch depth is also bigger. All our measurement, most of our measurement, like the hip measurement, the waist measurement is divisible by 4, while other measurements like the thigh measurement and the leg opening is divisible by 2. So let's get started. For high waist palazzo pants, the first thing we're going to consider is the length. The length of full length is going to be 45 inches because it's going to start from the lower belly button, a bit upper belly button. That's 45 inches for an average person. So this particular design, I'm going to be making it 48 inches long with the hem. That's what I'm going to consider. I'm going to make it 48 inches long. So I get my fabric, this is what I'm going to get. If my fabric is about 48 inches long, I'll be adjusting this to get that 48 inches that I want. So when I've gotten that, I'm going to rule my first line. This first line is the waistline. The waistline is basically the starting point. So when I rule this waistline, the second thing I'll be ruling after the waistline is the sideline. For the sideline, what I normally do is to take 1 inch away from the side. But there is a reason why I do that. This is just a personal preference. I take 1 inch. That 1 inch is for me to have a lot of freedom to do a lot of things with that. So in case I want to add seam allowance, or if in case there's mistake, I will use that one. Even if I'm drafting on fabric, I still do the same thing. So I take 1 inch away from the sideline. So I will now take this 1 inch that I marked as my sideline. Basically, this is what I do. So you mark it down, straight down. After you got this, you're going to be putting all of your horizontal measurements. The horizontal measurements, such as from your waistline to your hemline, which is 48 inches, as the case may be. Then the other horizontal line you're going to be taking is from your waist to your crotch depth, which from your waist to front. Now I'm already taking this one. This is from my waist to my ankle line, which is 48 inches, like I told you. So I'm going to rule that line. When I rule that line, then the next thing I'm going to do, the second line I'm going to be doing, is my crotch depth. For the crotch depth, I'm going to be using from my waistline to my crotch depth, which I shall be calculating. The measurement I'm using here, the hips is 48 inches, while the waist is 40 inches. So for the hips, now I'm going to be dividing the hips, divide by 4 plus 1. That is my crotch depth. So 48 divided by 4, you get 12, plus 1, you're going to be getting 13. So you're going to be taking 13 inches from the waistline. That is what you're going to be doing. So you'll be measuring 13 inches from the waistline. So this is your crotch depth. This is what you're doing now. You're going to be measuring 13 inches from your crotch. Measure that 13 inches from your crotch depth and rule that horizontal line. So that is your second line. So this second line now is your crotch depth. So this is your crotch depth. It's been gotten. The next thing, before then, you just signify it as your crotch depth. I use CL as my crotch depth. That's my crotch line. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to get your hip measurement on the crotch line. So you are going to be putting your hip measurement on the crotch line. We have the hip of 48. Divide it by 4. We are going to get 12 inches. So you are going to be marking 12 inches on the crotch line. Then as well, you are going to be marking that same 12 inches on the waistline. So when you've gotten this, after you got this, you take your ruler, connect these two dots together. When you connect these two dots together, so that's the next step you're going to take, is connect the two dots together. After connecting the two dots together, the next thing you're supposed to do is to get the crotch extension. For the crotch extension, since the silhouette of the trousers is tight at the hips line, so what you're going to be doing is divide that for 12 inches that you got for the crotch, for the hips, 12 inches, that when we divided 48 divide by 4, we got 12, divided by another 4, that you're going to get 3 minus 1, that is making 2 inches. So your crotch extension is going to be 2 inches. Crotch extension is dependent on the silhouette of the trousers. If you're going to be having free trousers, everything is going to happen at the crotch extension. But because this particular trousers is going to be a bit tight, it's going to be firm at the hips level, so the crotch extension is not going to be too long. So you can usually have crotch extension of 2 inches, you can have 3 inches, you can have 4 inches, you can have 5 inches. It all depends on how free you want the trousers to be. So by this particular one, we want it to be a bit tight at the waistline, so we are going to be making it 2 inches, or for you to be on the safer side, I'm making mine 2.5 inches. So I'm going to be taking this particular one, I'm going to be measuring 2.5 inches from the where the hip stops. So that's going to be my extension. That's going to be my crotch extension. So I'm marking out the 2.5 inches to be on the safer side. Then as well, there's one particular horizontal line that we fail to put, which is our hip line. The hip line is 9 inches away from the waistline. So I'm going to be marking my 9 inches away from the waistline. So I'll mark it out and use my ruler to mark it out. So then name it as my hip line. So this particular, after that is where you're going to be, this your crotch extension is going to be of 3 points. One from the hip line, the point of the hip line. Then the second is going to be at the midpoint of the line of intersection between the hip line and the line that went up to the waistline. Then the other is to the crotch extension. So you're going to be connecting those 3 lines. So in that midpoint is going to be about 1 inch. So I'm going to be taking 1 inches upward diagonally. You see what I'm going to be doing. So I'll be taking 1 inches up diagonally. Before then, I just want to roll this one so that you get it clear. So I'm going to be connecting from the crotch extension, which is 2.5 inches. So when I connect it from the crotch extension, which is 2.5 inches, then I'll go to the midpoint. Like I said initially, I'm going to be going up by 1 inch diagonally, then connect from the crotch extension up to the hip, up to the hip line. So these 3 curves, these are going to be. So this is how you draw your crotch extension. So when you're done with that, subsequently, before then, you can see that there's one line that is missing, which is the knee line. The knee line is 22 inches away from the waistline. So I'm going to be marking out the knee line. This particular line is called the knee line. So it's going to be the 22 inches away from the waistline. So when we're done with getting this particular knee line, what we are going to do next is to find the midpoint on the crotch line. That's both the hip measurement and the crotch extension, which here we got 16 inches. So I'm going to get the midpoint, which is about 8 inches. I'm going to use my tape rule like this and mark the midpoint of it. If I mark the midpoint, I'll take that same measurement to the knee line. mark out the same measurement on the hemline, and mark out the same measurement on the waistline. Then connect this line together. This particular line help in a lot of things. It help in aligning the trousers so that the trousers will be straight, and it also serve as the point where you are going to be putting your darts. In your front dart, this is the point at which you are going to be putting your darts. So remember, whenever you want to put your dart, you are going to put it in this particular line. So this is the line you are going to be putting your dart. So when you, if you should, and this particular line is going to serve as, when you iron it out, that's going to be serve as the point of the crease point. It's going to be creasing here. That's a sharp edge. So it will align with your, it will align centrally. And that's when you know, if you get this line perfectly, then when you're ironing it out, it's going to be perfect. So when you're done with this center line, what you're going to do is going to put the leg opening. My leg opening, I want my leg opening to be 10 inches. So I'm going to be marking 5 inches from both sides. That's is going to be 20 inches at the end of the day. But when you are dividing it, is going to be, you're going to divide it by 2, so you get 10. Divide that 2 on both sides is going to be 5 inches. So whatever you get here, if your leg inches is going to be 10 inches, you're going to be adding 1 inches on both sides, making it 12 inches on the knee line. So if you're using leg opening of 9, you're going to be adding, at the end of the day, it's going to be 11. So add 1 inch to both sides, so it's going to be 11. So you are going to be connecting that marked on the ankle line to the mark on the waist, on the knee line from both sides. When you are done with that, you're going to be connecting. When you're done with that, you're going to be connecting from the knee line to the. You're going to be connecting from the knee line to the hip line, to the crotch line. So you take care of this. Now, if you connect from you're not going to be connecting to the hip line. You'll be connecting to the. You're not be connecting to the hip line. You'll be connecting it to the crotch line. Look at it. So at that point, you see the crotch width to and the hip width is going to be the same thing. So in that particular place, it's going to be table. It's going to be flat. It's not going to be sharp. So that place is about 4 inches wide. So you are going to leave it that place. So your curving for your hip start from the crotch, from the hip extension. That's where your curving start from. So on the other side also, you also connect from the crotch extension down to the knee line. So that is what you shall be doing. So that's, you've gotten the lower part of it. So for the upper part of it, it needs some kind of adjustment. What you are going to do is that before you do the adjustment, you mark half an inch from that point and connect it to the hip line. So you go inward by half an inch on the waistline. So that's the new line that you're going to be getting. So these are the adjustments you're going to be making on the front trouser pattern. Then after that, you're going to be doing, the next thing you shall be doing as well is getting the hip measurement. So the waist measurement. So the waist measurement is 40 inches. You're going to be dividing it by 4. You're going to be getting 10 inches. Then you add 1 inches to it. That's 11 inches for the dart, because that is going to start for your dart intake. So you are going to be marking 11 inches at that point. So you connect that point of which you got 11 inches to the hip line. So you're going to be connected to the hip line using either your curve rule or your straight rule, depending on what is at your disposal. So this is what is at my disposal, and this is what I'm using. So you connect it, and it's giving me a good job. So you connect this. Then you see this is how your trouser is going to be. So there are still some little adjustments you are going to be doing, because the front panel is always lower in the front side. So what you are going to be doing is that on that side line, you are going to be going up by half an inch. So you are going to be marking half an inch on that point. Then on the crotch side, in the other side of it, you're going to be going down by half an inch. Then you connect this line. That is going to be your new waistline. So you are going to connect this. So basically, this is how the front pattern goes. Then, like I told you initially, as at the start of this tutorial, there's going to be a freebie, and part of the freebie is that if you're also apart from this palazzo pant, if you're making it a wider leg palazzo pant, the main thing that you're going to be doing is to readjust. You are going to be, it's still the same draft. What you are going to just do is that for the leg opening, you can manipulate the leg opening here. That is basically what you're going to be doing. And nextly, we shall be introducing the front dart. The front dart is going to be on that midpoint that you make. Is going to be 5 inches long. So by the time you put band, it's going to be 4.5 inches long. So on both sides of this line, you're going to be marking half an inch. So if you mark half an inch, then you connect it to the very 5 inches depth that you made. So this is how you're going to get your front dart. So by the time you finish your front dart, then as well, other tips is that your trousers normally has this in this place, in this particular line as well, the center line. You can use this line for your crease, for your tuck. You can make a pin tuck on it. Then this is your front dart. Your front dart is ready. So like I said before, as in we're talking about freebie. So before we continue with our lecture, we should introduce the freebie. So basically, the silhouette is going to be different if you're talking about freebie. What remains constant is from the waist to the crotch depth. That's what is going to remain constant. So for this, if you like, this is just 13 inches. For me, I'm going to be adding more to the band so that it will make it longer. Because if you make it exactly 14 inches, it's going to be slightly on the navel. 13 inches from the waistline to the crotch line is going to be slightly from the navel. So I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch for the band. So at the end of the day, the front crotch depth is going to be 14. Then it will be a bit free. But if you want it to be very packed, 13 is perfect. So this is just it. Like I said, the freebie, now we shall be introducing the freebie. Just come to the crotch depth, and that's where from the waist to the crotch depth is going to be the same. So from the crotch depth downward, that's where the variation starts from. So for the variation, for this variation, you go to the ankle line, and at the side of the line, you extend it by 2 inches. On each side of it is going to be extended by 2 inches. So that is where the variation starts from. So that by the time you extend it, is going to be 10 plus 4, that's 14 inches. You can still make it wider. So like I said, the variation all goes only on the lower part from the crotch depth to the ankle line. So this is how the sideline is going to be. Then the other side also, you are going to put the variation and curve it out when necessary. So basically, you see, this is how you get what you want. So this is, you can see, you can draft these trousers in two different patterns. And the first one was the one we draft. The second one was the second one. Then slightly, and this other part, this second part, that's the wider one, you're going to be making it curvy a little bit at the end of it. So you're going to be removing 1 inch from the edge so that it will be perfect. And then you remove 1 inch from the other edge too. Then you curve it, you connect it. So when you do this, you're done with the second pattern. But as well, what I do for me is I usually add half an inch to each of my pattern. So for my pattern, for the front basic pattern, I'm going to have half an inch. That was the excess of that particular line I left initially. So I'm going to be adding half an inch to it. So when I add half an inch, I'm going to be adding half an inch to it. This half an inch I'm going to add it all around. When we are done with the front pattern, we move to the back pattern. There's going to be a lot of, you are going to just be little variation, such as the crotch, the back crotch is going, the back crotch is going to be longer than the front crotch. Then as well, the back is going to be higher than the front. So then what we are just going to do is make sure that you leave 4 inches gap to the edge of the paper. Then for other adjustment, you can make it 3, you can make it 4, but because this one is paper, so I don't really have much, so I'm going to make it 3 inches gap. So I make sure the hem align. So that's what I just did. You can use your, if you have masking tape, you can use your masking tape to clip that side, So then for the back crotch, I'm going to be I'll come to this place and extend it. I'm going to be extending the back crotch by 1.5 inch. That's what I'm going to be doing. So by the time I extend it by 1.5 inch, so it's going to be, that's just basically what I'm going to be doing. So you can also well make it bigger if you feel the boot is bigger, but this 1.5 crotch is better since it's a bit tight. But if it's going to be very free, you can make it 3 inches away from the front crotch. So you align it that way to the hip line. Then on the waistline, you go in by 1 inch and mark. Then if you go in by 1 inch and mark, you go upward. In that part, you are going to go upward by 2.5 inch and mark. So you mark it. Then from that upward mark 2.5 inch, you connect to the marking at the hip line. So this is like this. You're going to connect them, use your ruler, or you use your free hand, or you use your curve rule. It depends on what is available to you. So this is what I'll be doing. So I saw that if I should do it this other way, the initial way of marking, so I slant it a bit at the tip of it. So you get this. So this for this other side of the crotch. Of the trouser, it has been done. So this is how it look like. So what next you're going to do now, always make sure it align. That's why you have to use pin, or you make use of masking tape to pin it down. So get the waist measurement and add 1 inches to it. That 1 inches is for ease. Then as well, the back that spacing is 1.5 inches, not like the front back space. That spacing was 1 inch. This one is going to be 1.5. So you are going to be adding extra 1 inch to these measurements. Then remember that you've already put ease at the front. So that means automatically, if you're doing anything at the back, there's already ease on it. So you don't really need to put much allowance on it. Then basically, this particular pattern is just going to be a bit bigger than the back is just going to be a bit bigger than the front. So you take your measurement, your waist measurement, the front waist measurement, measure it at that point to the sideline. When you measure it, then make sure that at the tip of the front pattern, look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that it align, so that at the time I'm constructing it, if I'm sewing, it's not going to be, I'm just going to make sure that it's very horizontal, that is parallel. You understand? So it's very horizontal. So I'm marking that line, this particular line now. Then I will connect it up to that 14, the markings, the measurement, my waist measurement. So look at this waist measurement. I'm going to be adding 1 inch to it, then mark it at that line, make sure that is at that line, so that it will be of this equal height at that side. So I will be using my ruler to join it. If I've used my ruler to join me, that will be the other part of it. So for these other parts, what I will be doing now is at this part, after I've marked it, I'm going to mark it at the hip line. I'm going to mark it 1 inches away from the hip line. Then, and that's how I'm going to be marking it downward. And the downward part, I'm going to be marking it 0.5 inches away from the front pattern. So I'll be connecting that markings from the back waist to the front crotch line. So you see, if I should do it this way, you see that if you make it 1.5 inches, it's going to give you a lot of error. So you are going to make it 1 inch so that the silhouette will be perfect. So I'm going to be making it 1 inch away from the front away from the front pattern. So you got this. So after that, after you've gotten that, then you're going to be connecting it straight down using 0.5 inches downward. So this is what I'll be doing. As you can see, drafting a trousers is not actually hard. But if peradventure you're facing any difficulty, you can always come back to this video, or you can simply tell me the part that is difficult for you. That's in, if there's any part I'm not really explaining well, you can just drop a note for me. If it's for me to do another video, it won't take me that much time to do that. So this is it. So I'm connecting it from the crotch line down to the knee line. So this is for the front, the side line. Then as well, I'll do the same thing that I did at this side line at the other side of it. So I'm going to be marking it. So you see that it's going to be half an inch from the front pattern. So I will be doing it all through. So when we are done with this, what is left now is your band. You'll be connecting it from that crotch extension, back crotch extension, down to the hip line, to the knee line, and down to the ankle line. So you are done with this particular trousers. So this is your front and back. You go to the waistline of the back pattern. You connect it. Make sure that is well connected. After that, you've done that. Next, you're going to be doing is the back pattern is almost complete, but what is left now is basically what is left is the dart. For the back dart is going to be, you are going to make it 6.5 inches. So by the time you finish it, it's going to be 6 inches. That's the dart length, or while the dart width is going to be 1.5 inches wide. So this is it. Then, like we did for the front as well, if you are going to be changing the silhouette that you want it to be a bit bigger, depending on what you took at the front. If you are taking, initially we took 2 at the front. At the front pattern, so we are going to mark these 2. This is for the other trousers pattern. This one is for the other trousers pattern. It's not really compulsory, of which I'm going to cut out later. You're going to extend that line from the ankle line down to the crotch line. Then you also do the same thing on the other side of it. Then remember to always curve it. So this is basically your pattern. So if you're done with this, you're going to be cutting out the desired part. The desired part I actually wanted was the palazzo pants. That's what I actually wanted. So I'm going to be cutting it out. So, and this one, there's no need of putting extra seam allowance. You've done all the whole calculation in the front. So this is it. I'm going to be cutting only the first part of it. That's what I need to do. Now, if I've cut it out, then we'll put, like I said, we're going to be putting our back darts. So for the back dart, what we are going to do is that go to the waistline, get the midpoint of it. When we get the midpoint, then we're going to draw a perpendicular line downward. The line is going to be 6.5 inches. When the line is 6.5 inches, then the width of the dart spacing is going to be 1.5 inches. So it's going to be bigger than the front, and it's going to be longer than the front. So this is it, and you draw it out. At the end of the day, this is basically your pattern, and what's left now is the pockets. For the front pocket, we'll carry the back pattern. We'll carry the front pattern rather. So we come to the back, to the front pattern. The front, the total depth of the front pocket is going to be the height of from the waist to maximum from the waist to the crotch depth. That's the maximum. Is going to be from the waist to the crotch depth. So you're going to measure from the waist, from that waist to the crotch depth. Then the pocket opening is 7 inches, or you make it 6.5 since it's a lady. 6.5 is perfect. So by the time you finish, it's going to be 6 inches from the waistline. If you measure it, then the width of the opening is going to be 2 inches. Depend on what you want, you can make it 1.5 inches. It all depends on what you want. So I'm making this one 2 inches. Then I'm going to use my straight rule, then connect from that waistline to that 6.5 inch mark. You can as well make this particular line curve line. It all depends on what you want. So but for this tutorial, I'm going to make it just plain line. So this, like we said, then the width of the pocket is going to be from the sideline to, you make it 1 inch to the midline point. So it should not go close to the midline, so that by the time it should not be too close to the midline. So by the time you are taking your darts at the front, it's not going to affect it. So it's going to be 1 inch away from the dart, from that line. So you're going to connect it downward. So this is basically your pocket. You reel it out. Then remember that this pocket is on fold. So since it's on fold, so you are going to be having 40. This is the horizontal measurement is 7 inches. So by the time you open it, it's going to be 14 inches. The vertical measurement is about 7 too. So you're going to use about 14 inches. 13 and a half, but you should make it 14. So by the time you finish it, it's going to end in 13 inches. So this part I'm doing is the pocket. So you're done with the pocket. The next thing you'll be doing is the band. The band depends on the variation, what you want. So I'm going to be using 1 inch band. But for the band, I will be leaving that for the tutorial. Our next tutorial, that's when we are sewing properly. That is where I'll be going to be doing the band. So this is how your pocket, this is how your trousers go. This is your front pattern, and this is your pocket. This particular trousers is your high waist palazzo pants. That is well styled. So what is next is just basically your sewing. So if you have challenges with sewing, you can click onto this particular, as in my YouTube channel. Then we shall be teaching you on our next tutorial on after how to sew this palazzo pant properly. We are coming to the end of this particular video. If you truly enjoyed this video, kindly give us a thumbs up. Give me your comments, shares, like, and tell me the areas of which I can improve. Tell me the areas of which I can help you. This is just it. So this is a front and back panel. Thanks for watching the video.